maybe not as good as Corky's from the week before for us. But it was still really good. So we gave him a 5.
We did.
I really liked the Brooklyn. I think
Brooklyn
the special
was really
white
good.
could have used some more garlic, but other than that, it was good.
I think the Brooklyn, or not the Brooklyn, I think the special white, there was good spinach, but there was a lot of spinach.
It was almost too much.
Too much spinach, not enough garlic.
Yes,
But
yes.
the
If I could have an even range of that one, yeah.
The spinach that was there was really good.
Yes.
So we gave it a 5. On crust, Rhodey, could you eat it by itself?
You could. Not a lot of flavor though, so maybe a touch of ranch, a little sprinkle of ranch.
The garlic bread, the aforementioned garlic bread, was really good. So they definitely know how to make bread there. Also, the crust was really thin, which is another we haven't had a lot of those. We haven't done a whole lot of thin, and I really enjoyed the difference that it was compared to what we get at like Old School or Beck's or something like that. Gave it a 4.
It was really good. The sauce we gave a 4 to. The marinara was good, not particularly amazing, but the white sauce was pretty good.
And cheese, Haley, what did you think about the cheese?
The cheese on the cheesy garlic bread was top notch.
Mm-hmm.
The cheese on the pizza was not goopy enough for me.
There was a lot of extra cheese.
I like when you pick your slice up and the cheese sticks to the rest of the pizza.
It's like a cheese curtain almost.
Cheese curtain.
Yeah.
We couldn't get our cheesy picture.
We like to take cheesy pictures where you pull the one piece off and there's the cheese curtain. Unfortunately, this one there was no cheese curtain.
Right, but
It tasted good.
It was very good.
It was really good.
Yeah.
And then the white pizza, of course, had a different thing going on. It had ricotta in it, as well as the mozzarella.
That was good. I did.
And that was very, very good.
It was, agreed. And we gave cheese overall a 4.
Right.
So for the final score, we gave Nino's 4.33333333 repeating forever.
Yes, remainder.
All right. And it was great. Check out Nino's.
Definitely. Absolutely. Go check it out.
All right, I am here with Justin Rojas, the VP of Events for NV Games. How are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
We may or may not be in some new outfit for you guys.
Got some new digs here. We're on the new office floor level. We're moving our current office into this new space, which is about 4 times the size of our previous, to accommodate for the teams moving in. We're moving the Dallas Fuel in here. Coming from Burbank, or actually they're in Glendale for the last year or so. We've got our Counter-Strike team who's already here. They're already practicing out of our office. And then our new Call of Duty League specifically team, the Dallas Empire, moving in as well. So actually I forgot one team, excuse me. The Overwatch Contenders team is also going to be playing out of this office now, which a lot of those guys have been in here. It's been a really transitionary year for those guys because they've been getting picked up by Overwatch League. So we're working on building the new team. Those guys have been doing great. I mean, they were national champions and all that stuff. So exciting place.
Oh, of course. So you're in Victory Plaza now, and the Dallas Empire is starting in last part of January. Mm-hmm. Now, for some people who may not know, what is and who are the Dallas Empire?
So the Dallas Empire is the new Call of Duty franchise league team here for Dallas. This past year, Activision Blizzard franchised the Call of Duty League, formerly known as CWL or Call of Duty World League, into Call of Duty League, which is now a regionally based team structure. So we own the Dallas spot. There are 12 teams in the league currently. International league, so you're going to have a Paris team and some Canadian teams, and we'll see where London, excuse me. So 2 European teams, Canadians, and the U.S. teams. So we'll see where that expands over the next few years. But we picked up a really kick butt roster here. Mm-hmm. Some big names for our Call of Duty team, as well as some fresh faces that have proven themselves very capable in other games.
Right.
They're transitioning to Call of Duty. So, some of our big highlights for that, getting Clayster and Crim 6 to join the Dallas Fuel, and then you got Illy and Shotzi coming on board as kind of the newer guys to Call of Duty. And that's really exciting because Call of Duty is such a household franchise in general.
Right.
To be able to bring that into a franchise league from an esports side is really awesome to say you're rooting for the Dallas team.
Now, which version of Call of Duty are they playing?
So for this year, they're going to be kicking it off with Modern Warfare, the new Modern Warfare game that came out this past fall.
Gotcha.
And they're gearing up, practicing on that to play in Call of Duty League. We're going to have our first event here for Call of Duty League on March 28th. That weekend. It'll be a 2-day event. Forget if we've disclosed locations or not, to be honest.
I was going to ask that later,
May or may not have. Let me think about it.
Okay. Well, then let's jump into that one. So they don't have a home field advantage until March 28th, 29th. What do you think, would that hinder them at all, or do you think that by that point they'll be gelled together so well that it would be even better?
Well, I can tell you this much from an event planning perspective. With Overwatch League, we had a year of preparation playing at the Burbank Arena, the Blizzard Arena in Burbank, Old Tonight Show studio.
Johnny Carson's?
I believe so.
Okay.
And that helped on a couple different ends because the league was learning, the players were learning how to play on a schedule like that, on a weekly schedule. And then as a team, we were learning the logistics of how to manage and run an event. And we did our first one here, this past April in Allen at the Allen Event Center. And using those learnings, we had a full year before that to kind of see what Overwatch League was doing.
Right.
This time around, you're starting off Call of Duty League immediately with the home series format.
Right.
So the first games are going to be played in Minnesota.
January, what is it, the 24th through 26th? Yeah. Yes.
So I'm personally glad that I'm not planning an event that's happening in January right now. There's a lot of things we're figuring out, and our event's in the end of March, and that gives me a little bit more time to kind of get my things together and to have a really successful event.
Right. That makes sense. Now, with having 2 out of the 9 people who have competed in every $1 million Call of Duty tournament, how do you think having these guys on this team will help?
Having these seasoned veterans like Crimsix and Clayster, they understand the pressure and stress it takes to win a championship, to have that kind of money on the line, to have an audience, in front of you. That's a thing that I think shakes up a lot of new players. Is you've played the game a lot very well, maybe even in front of thousands of, streaming viewers,
right? But
having people physically there, watching you, to be representing a home team as well.
Right.
That's a little bit of a different stress level when you're in your hometown and you know that you have to defend it.
Exactly.
That's a little bit of a different pressure, and that's going to be new even for these seasoned guys. But I think they're so adept at performing on stage that's going to be a huge help for us. They're already performing very well online,
right?
In these small.
I've been noticing 2-on-2s and 1-on-1s, and okay.
So we're looking forward to seeing them play on the big stage.
Now, you mentioned earlier that you have some younger players, one of which turned 18 recently, the other one just turned 20, and then you also have the veterans. Now, what do you think the veterans are going to learn from the, not rookies, but the younger talent? And then what do you think the younger talent's going to learn from the veterans?
Well, I think definitely, in the case of Call of Duty, it's its own environment. The veterans are very well versed with how to deal with the other teams, to know the other players as well, because you learn their play styles, and so that's a big part of it as well too. It's the history of knowing who you're playing against,
right?
And the veterans have that in spades. And when the new guys, they've played other games very well. They understand the competitive aspect of playing these games. They'll probably learn a lot of the intricacies for Call of Duty through those guys,
right? Because they came from Halo and Gears of War, and okay.
And then you've got your veterans who are having these new to Call of Duty guys coming in, and one of the things about Call of Duty is it's a game that changes every year anyway.
Right.
You have to adapt. You have to learn, and you do a lot of comparing and contrasting to previous games, and so I can see there be potential to get kind of stuck in this mentality of like, oh well, this is like that, and that's like this. So you maybe not take things. You don't have fresh eyes on the game. You're always comparing it to something else, and I think that might be a good thing for the new guys to kind of bring to the table is like a new take on Call of Duty, and bringing their experience from these other games, and maybe there's a way to take advantage of those intricacies that they learned playing Halo and Gears, and transferring that to Call of Duty, especially since the game's different,
right?
And everyone's always figuring it out. So they kind of reset altogether,
right.
And that might be some good fresh eyes for the game.
Now, with the CEO being Mark Ruffin, aka Hastro, he's a retired Call of Duty player. As his being the CEO, does he have a lot of impact or input with the team picking, or how does that even?
So Mike Hastro is essential to building our rosters.
Right.
He knows the Call of Duty scene better than arguably anybody else, and knows these players, on a personal level, on a professional level, on an intimate scale, with not only having competed around some of these guys, but on a business end, having those types of conversations. Because at the end of the day, it's all a business, right? There's a lot of money at stake here, so he has that experience talking with some of these bigger players. That's a huge deal. These guys don't make insignificant amounts of money.
Oh no, not at all.
And so you need somebody that understands what is important to these guys. Why do they want to be on this team versus that team? What is important to a player? Is it just the dollars? Is it the experience? Is it the environment you put them in? Is it the amount of control they get within the team? Those are things Mike knows like the back of his hand, because he's been doing Call of Duty for longer than just about
12
anybody.
years, I think, roughly. Yeah.
And so I think that's really important, because the players can trust him to make the right decisions, to know how to grow the team, how to place, the resources, and that type of trust and reliability that he provides, attracts big players.
You're right. Now, you have two substitutes. You've got Tommy and you've got Mudex, and with Mudex also being the search and destroy analyst. Now, what exactly does that entail, and then where do the substitutions come in?
Search and destroy is a very different game mode compared to most of the other Call of Duty modes. Basically, once you die, you're out of the round. Everything else is a respawn game for the most part. And so the strategy on Search and Destroy is very different. It's much more like Counter-Strike. And so we've got our Counter-Strike team here, which is you can tell the difference in strategy they have to have versus a Call of Duty team. And so that is a very specific game mode that a lot of people in the Call of Duty scene are weak with, because it's not necessarily the main game mode, but it's a very tactical mode.
Right.
And so having someone that focuses solely on that can be really important. Now, in regards to when the substitutions take place, that's something that is new. Okay. For the most part, I'm not a Call of Duty expert here, but in all of my experience with Call of Duty World League, you've had your main roster and you don't sub during games. I don't know how that's honestly panning out for the Call of Duty League right now.
Right.
Yeah. So if it's maybe the best part is having backups, is when a player is not available, you have a solid roster that has played together, that, there's going to be a lot more travel now on a weekly basis, rather than in CWL before, where you went to 4 or 5 tentpole events over the year and then champs. So you could kind of pre-plan, and you could actually adjust your roster between those weekends and things. But now, someone gets sick, they got to play next week. You need somebody to fill in, and that's what these subs are there for.
That's great. So the Dallas Empire merchandise has run out very quickly. multiple times. What can people look forward to